a USAW Olympic weightlifting and sports performance coach, and a nutrition coach through Precision Nutrition. I'm also a yogi, former endurance junkie, and a self-proclaimed meathead. When I say meathead, I mean I train with barbells and weights, always looking for kind of like an extra push in my workouts and to enhance my athletic performance. My background is in strength training, and after experiencing continuous lateral knee pain while training for a half marathon years ago, I found strength training through a chiropractor in order to rehabilitate my injury and maximize my strength and enhance my athletic performance. So since then, I said that was about 7 years ago. Since then, I've been either writing programs or working with folks one-on-one for all their strength training and endurance needs. So that's just a little bit about me, background, so that you know like where I'm coming at. So I've got the experience as a former endurance athlete. I've got the experience as someone who now is certifiably like weight driven, all about resistance training. So what is strength training? Like what is resistance training? Strength training, resistance training, we can use those terms interchangeably. So primary movements, standing up, squatting down, picking things up, pushing, those are all compound functional movements that we've been performing since like the beginning of the Stone Age. So since we've been in the caveman era, we have been, babies do it too, squatting down all the way down to the floor, picking things up overhead, pushing things overhead. There are 5 primary movements in strength training: the barbell back squat, the deadlift, the barbell push press, and a row, and then pull-ups. So fundamentally, those are the 5 movements of some variation that are going to be in every strength training workout. Comprehensively, what we're doing with strength training is developing the muscles around the joints that support our movement. So our knees, our hips, everyone in here has talked about knee and hip issues. One of the biggest things with strength training is just developing the musculature around those body parts so that they're more stable and can take a bigger beating, which is what we're doing when we're repetitively kind of hitting the road through runs and bikes and stuff like that. On a cellular level, since we have a room full of women and everyone cares about this, resistance training is said to reduce the effects of aging by upwards of 10 years. So if you start lifting weights, it has pretty long-term implications for the way that the body physiologically ages. There's a lot of contested science around that, so I'm not going to, don't hold me to it. It's what all the science says right now, totally subject to change. So what I'm constantly hearing from women is that they know what they need to do in terms of weightlifting, but they don't know how to do it or what movements to do, and they already have too much on their plate, especially with my endurance athletes. So my background in strength training came from being an endurance athlete, and then when I moved to Colorado, I had a PT who just started funneling me all of his endurance athletes that needed rehabilitation of injury. So right out the gate, all I started working with were endurance athletes, so sprint and Olympic triathletes, and then my Ironmen and women. They all came to me with the same injuries for the most part, a lot of knee, a lot of hip issues, and we just put them on a full-fledged strength training program to prevent any further injuries, rehabilitate the injuries that they have, while improving their overall strength and athletic abilities to perform. So after hearing all these, and so my endurance athletes, going back to this time thing, nobody has any more time to work out, of course, because like your run, bike, swimming are 10 to 15 workouts a week, depending on where you are with your level of competition. So the biggest thing with my endurance athletes is maximizing their time in the gym. We're not going to put you in the gym and have you doing anything that isn't effective and efficient and directly correlates to your movements in the pool, on the road, or on the bike. So one of the biggest things with my endurance athletes is making sure that the workouts are really specific and carry over in their competition. Does that make sense? And that's pretty obvious why it's important to be doing. Okay, so I already talked a little bit about why strength training is important for endurance athletes. Injury prevention by strengthening tissues and muscles around the joints, performance enhancing. I just had one of my girls did a time trial last and she's been dead set on deadlifting. We've been working on a deadlift for a year. She can deadlift 150, 200 pounds now. Super strong. Came in, learning how to squat, just learning how to basic patterns of movement. And she came to me last week, and she was so determined to work on her deadlift because she's like, I really know that this is a thing that's going to help me on my bike. It's going to help me climb. It's going to make my times better. She comes last week. She's like, yeah, I had the best time I've ever had on my time trial. And I'm like, well, how do you feel about that? That's awesome. So at this point, most of my endurance athletes are coming back with like really quick advances on their time trials on their bikes, mostly. I haven't been able to get a ton of response in the pool. And I find that that's the weakest link in my athletes is their upper body and their swim technique right now. So we do a lot of posterior chain and back development, but the biggest correlation and carryover for my athletes right now is going to be in their bikes and in their runs and just becoming more powerful and being stronger in the legs. So how to strength train if you're an endurance athlete, which all of you in here are. I've touched on some of these things, but going back to it, efficiency. So you want movements that are effective in helping you achieve the overall desired results of a better performance on the bike, in the water, on the pavement. Generally speaking, those are compound movements. So like I already talked about, squats, pushes, deadlifts, pulls. Very basic movements. We don't need to be in the gym doing bicep curls. We don't need to be in the gym doing, bicep curls are nice. They have some benefit, but you don't need to make it the focus of your workouts. We want to go for compound movements, big, heavy hitting movements that are going to work with all your primary movers and all your primary muscle groups. One thing I also really want to talk about, I'm going to take a little bit of like a detour, and I'm going to ask you to kind of come with me because it might be a little hard to follow at first. But I've learned personally and with working with my athletes, it's a super critical point of ensuring that they can perform. So we're talking about the body, we're talking about how to maximize your body to perform, how to withstand the load that endurance training is. Because endurance training, everyone in here, it's a lot of work. Like you're putting a lot of toll on your body. So we're trying to maximize the efficiency of our bodies. Great, okay. The next thing that comes into play in terms of our performance is energy management. This is something that I work with my clients with in person when we do our in-person training sessions that I have them take out into their races as well. And I'll get into the nitty-gritty of it. There's a really great book about maximizing your performance and your potential, and it's called The Power of Full Engagement. And what does it matter really to maximize our energy? Like, can anyone think about off the top of their head, like, why does this matter to us? Anybody? No? Random. Just give me something totally random. No. Okay. All right. So in terms of competition, okay, so we've got a 2-hour race, an hour to 3-hour race minimum, if not going for Ironman distance, and we're talking 8 to 11. Intermittent energy renewal. Okay, so finding rituals or patterns of movement that you can tap into during a race in which you can change your breathing, lower your heart rate, and rejuvenate your energy mid-race. So in this book of Powerful Engagement, they studied Olympic level athletes, professional tennis players, Wimbledon players, and what's the difference between someone that can just execute a workout versus someone that can excel? They're the same level of athlete, but what really takes like Olympians and puts them to the next level, a lot of it is energy management. So if you watch these Wimbledon level tennis players, in between every point, they're walking back, they're going through like a methodical ritual of like walking the same way, breathing the same way, grabbing the ball the same way. What they're doing is they're getting back into like neural flow physiologically with their bodies. So they're giving their body some rest from this 3-hour intense competition. They're lowering their heart rate. And so we're talking like 20 seconds in between match points, right? Really? And these high-level athletes have found a way to restore their energy so that they can come back for the next match point, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes of play with 110% fuel versus coming back with 70. So when we talk about energy management, like, it's kind of, kind of foo-foo-y in a way, like until you kind of get your head around what I'm talking about. And another way that I want to talk about it in terms of performance, it's the same way. So my background is in Olympic weightlifting. So I was a competitive Olympic weightlifter for a couple of years. And has anybody ever watched the Olympic weightlifting on TV? Okay, so you've seen it. You've seen they come, they take, like they have a ritual when they approach the bar. So what they're doing is they're tapping into a flow. So they're not thinking about anything. They're in their bodies, they're in their breath, they go, their physiological systems are fired, they execute a lift. Then they go back, they go through the same ritual, re-chalk, rebreathe, walk back out, pull. So same thing with tennis in the Wimbledon scenario I was just telling you about. Same thing with endurance athletes. So when you're transitioning on and off the bikes in that transition area and you have 3 minutes, that is a shit ton of time to recover your energy in order to maximize your performance in the next leg of the race. So it's something that's really, I think it's becoming more and more spoken about. And the reason why I'm talking about it is because as a strength coach, we're trying to enhance your performance. We're trying to make you, as capable athletes as possible, make you as strong as possible, and make you perform as efficiently and effectively as possible in your given sport, as well as your life. Not just like for this 1 to 3 hour race that you have every couple of months. In your life, strength training translates to a stronger life, period. And I'll go to bat with anyone who wants to say anything different about it. So when we're talking about energy management, it's the same thing with the transitions on the bikes. It's the same thing. Okay, so anyone's been on vacation. So we've been on vacation. You go, you unplug, you get off the phone, you read your book, you chill, you relax, you renew, right? You come back and you're super freaking focused on your job, your relationships, your life, right? Like you've had this like recharge period and you feel like you come back and you can just jump right in and like you're super zestful and you're in your flow, you're happy, things are going great. Mostly I'm hitting some home buttons. So what did you do on vacation? You renewed your energy, right? So instead of just energy renewal in terms of athletic performance, instead of just waiting twice a year, 3, 4, 5 times a year when we go on a week-long vacation, what we're talking about is finding ways every day and within your performance, within your workouts, to renew your energy so that you can bring that week rest and renewal from vacation. You can bring that same mentality and focus and fuel for your performance every day. Like, I think about that and I think about like what kind of benefit that has to our athletic performance if we actually utilize that, and it's pretty freaking phenomenal and it's really limitless. And it's the thing that the Wimbledon and Olympic level athletes, it's what they learn how to do is maximize their energy. So I know that's a kind of detour in terms of like, this is what strength training is, but this is what I coach, and it's critical that my clients, my athletes, myself, really recognize the integration that energy has with our exercise, with our movements, with how we're spending our time in the gym. We can go to the gym and just do this all day, but if we do this and we're a little bit more tapped into our flow, the results are going to be better, period. So I'm all about maximizing time and being efficient, and I'm sure everyone else is too, because like I said, we just don't have time to be wasting our time anymore. Okay, so we've got intermittent energy renewal. I talked to you about why that's important. I talked to you about my training methodology with my endurance athletes. Okay, so going back to actual movements and exercises of strength training, we touched on 5 movements: squat, deadlift, row, push press, pulls, pull-ups, any variation, rows, pulls like this. I'm going to go over these two. I'm going to move away from the computer and take off my shoes, and we're going to move. And we're going to go over some exercises that are in the workout program that I'm going to send you guys after tonight, so that if you want to utilize it, what I've done is I've created a 4-week framework of strength training workouts that are about 20 minutes a piece. I wouldn't say it's 150% endurance athletic, but it's about 80% specific to endurance athletes. It's a great foundational exercise program for anyone starting out or anyone who's just wanting to get back into it. They've done some in the past and they're ready to start moving again. The reason why I'd say it's not a full-fledged strength program is because the workouts are only 20 minutes. Going back to time and energy management, nobody has any more time that they want to invest. And if we do, it's limited. And so the workouts are intentionally only 20 minutes so that we can just get in, move, get the pump, get the work done, get out. I did not, in the workout program that I'm going to send you, I did not factor in any rehabilitation exercises, which it sounds like a handful of you would need, or potential. That was a big generalization, but potentially some accessory work. I'll say accessory work versus rehabilitation. So a couple of the exercises we're going to go over from the cheat sheet, and I'm going to turn this off so we can